Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're doing very well today, and I know that I can never hope to play enough BGX midrange and modern to sate all of your ravenous appetites for the archetype, but you know what? I really am trying. I really am playing a lot of BGX lately, and we're doing it again here today, and we're doing it again with a twist. This is old school rock, old school Golgari midrange, and it's old school in the vein, actually, of the old school Jund list that we played a couple weeks ago, and what we mean by that is that we are excluding some of the printings that feel the most emblematic of 2019 and 2020. We're not going all the way back to, like, Phyrexian Plague Lord rock or anything like that. We're not going back to Deathcloud or anything. We are instead aiming for kind of a pre-Modern Horizons vibe, like an early 2019 rock vibe, and of course we do have a couple exceptions, but we do have perhaps more notable exclusions. So we're notably not playing Lurrus of the Dream Den, and therefore not playing Mishra's Bauble as well. We're also not playing Hexdrinker, we're not playing Questing Beast. These are some cards that are really, they feel more modern, not in the sense of the modern format, but in the sense of very recent design, and they don't feel as old school. So within the confines of the old school kind of mission, we are just making a couple notable exceptions. It looks like to me that Plague Engineer in the sideboard is a 2 of, and Cling to Dust in the main deck is a 2 of, are the only post-Modern Horizons cards that we are leveraging, and we are going to see exactly how well we can do without the benefit of Lurrus, Hexdrinker, and the rest. So this league is brought to us by my first ever, and I will never forget this, he was my first ever Patreon supporter, SV Kovic. What a great guy. What an awesome leap of faith to be the first ever person to sign up for Patreon on the first day that I launched it, back when my channel was very, very small. SV's support and the support of a couple other very early Patreon supporters gave me the belief and the incentive to keep plugging away, and now the channel is much bigger, so thank you especially to SV. Now SV, if that wasn't cool enough, he's a very chill guy. He's kind of like, just happy to support the content, doesn't make any demands. And when I told him he'd qualified for a donation league, he said, well, I'm a little bit out of the loop, to be honest. What if I just give it over to you, or indeed give it over to the Discord to decide? But SV had one suggestion if I was going to do that, maybe if I was going to make a poll, which I ended up doing, to put old school rock in the mix as a potentiality. So I made a poll and I let my Discord denizens vote, and we said, are we going to play old school rock for SV's donation list, or are we going to play Abs and Gooseblade 2.0, kind of an updated version of Gooseblade? Are we going to run back the Lurrus Rock 5.0, or are we going to play Rakdos Prowess, which I still haven't played on the channel yet, or another list of your choice? And this won the vote. Old school rock won the vote. So with that in mind, we have a 24 land deck, and partially because that is old school in terms of how it feels, like playing 3 Fields of Ruin, playing a high land count, that feels more emblematic of the era we're trying to kind of relive here, and partially because we're also excluding cards like Castle Lock Thwain. That's a little too new school for our purposes here. We are leveraging creature lands instead. We have a Quagmire and a Treetop Village, in addition to 2 Peatland. I guess Peatland's another Modern Horizons card we're playing. Whatever. Okay, caught me. And 3 Field of Ruin. So the presence of the tap lands, the presence of triple field, the field especially feels pretty good right now, but these are incentives to play a higher overall land count. So we've got a really strong land base, as we usually do on this deck, but this is especially a strong one in my estimation. Jumping up here, we also have 2 Tireless Tracker main deck and a Kalitas Traitor of Ghet main deck. Talk about the old school vibe. Both of those inclusions really make us want to make sure we're on the high end of a typical land count, so that's what we're doing with that. I did mention Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust, to me, is number 1, very, very good in these types of decks right now in the meta, and number 2, if we are going to play a like 2020 card or a very new card, it might as well be something like Cling that is relatively unobtrusive. I feel that the threats in the centerpiece cards are really what define like the vibe of the deck, rather than a supplementary interactive kind of cantrippy card like Cling to Dust. So Cling is where we cheat off of the old school ways a little bit to include 2 of and have a nice low curve, help us curve out, help us make it to the mid game one way or another. But 4 Fatal Push, 3 each of Inquisition and Thoughtseize, 3 each of Dark Confidant and Scavenging Ooze, 4 copies of Goyf, 3 Trophy, 1 Decay, and 1 Pulse. Again, this just feels as old school as you can imagine, relative to, what used to be done as a matter of course on my channel. Love all of that. And 1 copy of the namesake himself, the Grim Flayer. Very, very nice. Rounding out the main deck, we not only have the full playset of Liliana of the Veil, but we also have a cameo from Liliana the Last Hope, who's been pretty good when I've played her lately, and I think in the context of the old school mission, main decking her makes a lot of sense. She also seems like a good fit in the shell more broadly. In the sideboard, we have arguably even more of an old school feel, and there was a tension between trimming some of the fringier old school cards to include Fulminator Mage, who himself is kind of an old school card now at this point, because people don't really play Fulminator so much in BGX right now in a Veil of Summer world. So it was either play the Fulminators and cut some other old school cards, which is justifiable, or play without Fulminator, and there was no clear consensus on my Discord discussions where we were all tweaking the list. Thank you to everybody who helped doing that. And so I decided to make the executive decision to play no Fulminator Mage, and that lets us do almost everything except destroy lands. So we do still want to fade big mana, but hey, we have 3 fields, 3 trophies, 2 Ashioks if that's a good card against big mana. We have things to do, right? Obviously, Fulminator would be extra nice, but we don't have those. Instead, we have 3 Brutality. Very, very, very important to have a critical mass of these effects right now. I myself kind of like mixing it up on Rock a little bit. If we are going to have a third slot like this, you could maybe play one of Weather the Storm, but again, we're not... we're opting for older school cards when possible, so that's that. 2 Plague Engineer, again, one of the few exceptions we're allowing. Damnation, a card that used to be a staple and now sees very little play, but you know what? The opponents are not going to see it coming. Good against go-wide decks, good against Eldrazi Tron, it's got a lot of use cases. And 2 Ashiok, again, a newer card, but one that is not... That did come out in early 2019, if I remember correctly, and also one that feels like it was really important to that era. Like, the acquisition of Ashiok in that era definitely feels good to include the card. It doesn't feel too new school to me. 2 copies of Choke, and 1 copy of Nissa Vital Force. These cards are giving us a lot to do against the control decks. We're not playing Veil of Summer. And we're not playing maybe another option or 2 that would be good there, like Lurrus could be good, Questing Beast could be good. So these are some kind of older school anti-control cards, and Choke in particular still does see play, even when we don't have the restriction. Nissa Vital Force, not so much, but it'll be fun to play her again, and it was a great suggestion from a Discord member. And we don't have that much to bring in terms of value permanence without her, so I'm glad to have access to her. That's another card, again, that makes us want to play that 24th land. 2 Nihil Spellbomb, don't leave home without these. And Engineered Explosives, pretty good right now, definitely better with Lurrus, or in a 3-color deck, but still good enough here. Still a nice card, still feels old school as well. And talk about old school, we've got a Golgari Charm. I think this card is better positioned now than it has been in a while. I still don't know if it would make a fully optimized, non-old school sideboard for me right now, but it does a lot. It's going to help sweep up the weenies, and it can also kind of combo with Plague Engineer and or Liliana the Last Hope to even help kill bigger stuff. Destroying enchantments is good against Gruul, it's good in a few other matchups, and regenerating each creature you control is kind of an interesting mode that can catch opponents off guard when you're usually bringing it in for another reason, but that mode can be live too. So enough said about old school Rock, let us just play it. So, thank you once again to everybody who voted to make this the deck of choice. Thank you even more to everybody who helped to refine the list. And thank you above all once again to SV Kovic, my first ever Patreon supporter, the longest standing supporter a confidant, an all-around great dude. Finally, we have a trio of Inquisitors to thank. Quinn Hart and Austin Johnson are brand new. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting the content. And Night Ev, or Night EV, I believe is a returning patron as an Inquisitor, so thank you as well. Okay, well, our 24-land deck opens up on a 1-lander to begin. That's no good. I think this hand has too high of a curve to justify the risky keep. So even though I like Inquisition into Bob or Decay, if we were to draw the second land, I'm going to send it back. This looks much better. We're going to keep it and pretty easily bottom a Catacombs here. And we'll see what the opponent's up to. Between Inquisition and Trophy, we can definitely interact with them in some way, shape, or form. But yikes, looks like we're going to have to Trophy Emery on turn 2, and even so, Emery will get to buy back Bauble. That's a bit of a nightmare start, not going to lie. But let's Inquisition, see what else the opponent has. We are against an Emery deck. Looks mono blue. It's got Urza, no surprise. It's got Heliod. What? I haven't seen this before. Well, that's the only valid take. So right now, Emery is our big problem, but the opponent admittedly is kind of out of ideas, besides their top deck and besides getting to buy back Bauble with Emery. So we're going to have to Trophy Emery. It's going to feel bad, but as long as that resolves, you know, we have every reason to believe we're doing okay. However, I do confess I have no idea what the opponent's up to with Heliod. I guess Ballista can pair with Heliod and can be reasonable with, like, the Urza Emery stuff. I haven't seen this deck before, though. OP casting a Ballista for 1. So we know the only card in their hand until they draw off of this Bauble. Okay, just gotta Trophy the Emery before they get to untap and keep looping that Bauble. This is definitely a little sketchy, though, because now we don't have any more answers in hand, and we are giving them that third land. We know the fourth one is in hand, so obviously we're making ourselves soft to Urza in a couple different ways, but we can't just let the Emery bury us in value. We've got to take care of it and make them punish us for it with the perfect top deck, which I truly hope they don't, right? I guess Heliod's pretty scary, too. Obviously, they rip Urza. I just knew it. All right, we almost certainly lose, but maybe we can draw another something or other. Sword of the Meek. Okay, opponent's draw is looking good. All right, gotta find a kill spell for Urza. Even so, we are just getting X for 1 a lot. Fatal Push. Well, technically that allows us to kill Urza, but we've got to Stone Rain ourselves with a Peatland to do so. You better believe we're doing it, though. It's the only play. And we find a land off the Peatland, so hey, you know what? Our Goyfs are 6/7s. If the opponent can stop top decking Nuttily now, you know, maybe we can still get there. We need them to lay off the gas a little bit, though. That is for certain. Okay, there's that Delta. Oh, they suit up Walking Ballista. And then they have another play to make. Chalice on 1. Dang, okay, well, thankfully we've used our push and Inquisition. Oh, we draw another push, though? That's a tilt. All right, 6/7 Goyf looking good. Now, one pretty annoying thing that the opponent can do here is make the Ballista a 3/4 and then ping the Goyf down after we block this construct. But I guess we pretty much have to, right? Why did opponent fetch there? Is there something in the graveyard I don't know about? Or are they going to use all their mana this turn? They're going to pump and then they could re-equip this. Then we wouldn't get to kill the construct in combat, which would really suck. Yeah, it's too bad they have Chalice on one. Just a really good curve out from the opponent relative to what we're up to. Remember, we mulliganed as well. Opponent just doesn't attack. But we just are drawing 1-drops in the face of their Chalice, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. Another Goyf it is. I don't believe we have the luxury of attacking here. We've just got to assume they're going to brick, and we are going to draw removal, or the 4th land for Kalitas is really interesting as well. It makes the previous play of, like, trading Construct for Goyf with the assist from Ballista obviously a ton worse for the opponent. Then again, we're getting to the point where Ballista can just ping Kalitas to kill it. So, yeah, the push locked in hand is rough. So the opponent bricks in. Another great draw for us would be Decay, or even Trophy. For the Chalice, unlocking the push, letting us go to town. Opponent re-equipping Sword. Then they're holding up Ballista. We've drawn Cling to Dust. Literal, just drawing only 1-drops in the face of Chalice. Man, even the scary progression is winnable if we just got a little less unlucky. Yep. Increasingly, some out to the Chalice is just our best draw, you know? Turning Cling back on. Even turning Inquisition back on is probably not the most relevant, but given their incentive to do things on board, it's possible that Inquisition hits something in some window. Chalice of the Void on 3. Okay. Okay, you got it. Construct is a 7/8 now. Still no attacks. And Tireless Tracker. Nope, that's also locked out by Chalice. Okay, I mean, we kind of have to keep playing, but... but it's one of those opening games. OP with that Glimmer Void. Us with a Nurturing Peatland, so... I think playing Kalitas is correct here. Before they set Chalice on 4 next turn. Now, I think playing Kalitas is fine here, even if they like have to use this turn's mana and next turn's mana to shrink their ballista to a 1/1 to kill the Kalitas, and that ensures that the stalemate kind of goes on. I think that's okay. It's also just a very mana-efficient turn. The next turn we can untap and maybe double spell or crack Peatland and have a high chance of doing something good afterwards. Whereas here it's like, okay, we Peatland into what? Maybe a third Goyf would be okay. Maybe like a Decay to set up for next turn is still the best draw. But yeah, so sure enough, OP going heavy on the ballista. But curiously not pinging Kalitas down quite yet. We draw Hissing Quagmire. Okay, crack the Peatland, I guess. Lily of the Veil? Oh my goodness. 1-drops and 3-drops everywhere we look. Opponent looks like they just want to stalemate until they can ping us for lethal with Ballista. And I don't blame them. Seems pretty good. Land off the top, not what we need. Alright, I guess we technically have one more draw step to find an out to the Chalice on one. Oh, no we don't. They have the 8th land. Make them go for it, I guess. This is a really silly game one. Oh, they don't go for it on their end step. Interesting. They're spooked about something. At the same time, I guess, like, we kind of need to be the ones to make the first move, and they can just kind of kill us in response, so it's pretty free. Okay. I will concede. Feels bad. Feels pretty bad. I've never enjoyed playing against Urza decks very much. And those were some pretty good examples as to why. Of course, opponents doing some other funky stuff with Chalice and presumably the combo, though we didn't see Thopter Foundry, and Heliod Suncrown, so there's a lot going on there. Sideboarding will be intriguing, to say the least. We have a lot of really viable options here. I think like playing like 1 Brutality is pretty good to kill Emery. We probably don't want too many. Honestly, Damnation doesn't seem to be the worst here, but I think we have so many cards to bring in, and Damnation can be so high variance in terms of the respective board states that we probably shouldn't. But there's going to be a lot of room for nuance here, so let's give it a moment's consideration. Alright, this is just strange because there's almost no bad cards in our main deck. I'm gonna trim Kalitas. I'm thinking about trimming Last Hope. Maybe have to trim Trackers because, again, there's kind of no bad cards. And we're probably supposed to keep our kind of aggressive early plays in here. I'm gonna play both Chokes. EE seems good enough. Man, there's just too many cards I want to play. Alright, let's trim. I'm going to move away from Oozes a little bit. They're pretty good, but I think we should be leaning into other cards a little bit more heavily. And we still need to make a couple cuts if we do this, and we're leaving out a lot of really good cards. Thinking about cutting an Inquisition on the play, just get more board presence oriented, and then maybe a Cling to Dusk just to shy away from losing to Chalice on one like we did there. I think that's good enough. There's clearly a million different ways you could work around the edges here. I would love to be playing a second Plague Engineer, a second Ashiok. I think most of the cards we cut and many of the cards that we didn't bring in are also fine. So definitely willing to... Wow, another one-lander. Definitely willing to, accept the variety of permutations there. This is a really good one-lander because it has 4 one-land spells, but we only have a swamp. Fatal Push without Revolts is definitely a little weak. On the play, I think we are supposed to mulligan this. It's sad, but I think we kind of have to. This is a really reasonable keep as well. Just wish it was a 7, but we will keep it. And if we didn't have Peatland, I might get greedy and bottom a land. But because it's Peatland, I think it's correct to bottom a spell. I'm probably just going to bottom Trophy and keep Thoughtseize into Scooze into Pulse with 3 lands, including 2 green sources, one of them being Peatland. Another option there would have been to bottom the Scooze and play like the full control game, right? Okay, opponent has Mazemind Tome, Teferi, Time Raveler, and Urza. Yeah, that hand's annoying. I guess Teferi's not the biggest deal in the world right now. Mazemind Tome's annoying. We can pulse it. And they'll just get like a scry off of it. I guess responsibly we have to take Urza. Urza's probably going to do the most damage when resolved. Also, potentially, if unanswered, will do the most damage. Alright, there's an Ashiok. Interesting find. Scooze and go. Whoa, heads up, they got the Welding Jar. We can no longer pulse the Mazemind Tome. It's actually pretty bad for us, not gonna lie. Liliana, pretty good for us here, though. I think. The problem is that taking up right now has a good chance of being worse for us than it is for them. Because we clearly need the 3rd land to even play her. Both cards in hand are good, right? So do we play Ashiok and just start milling them? Or do we pulse the tome? I can't bring myself to just eat with Scooze. I think we need to make a play here. Why don't we get Ashiok down? And yes, we lose a little snack for Ooze this way, but I think milling them is correct. We get Ensnaring Bridge and Metallic Rebuke out of their hand in addition to, or out of their deck in addition to stuff we already knew about. So Teferi, bounce the Ooze, yep. One of a few reasons it's not that big a deal to have not eaten Urza. Okay, so... I kind of want to get the Liliana down now. And I'm thinking about just pivoting to the full control plan and pitching Ooze. I think that might actually be correct. We can pulse Teferi next turn if we feel that's necessary. Seems like a really good spot for Liliana. So we get rid of the Prismatic Vista. Ashiok's loyalty versus just like milling them because it's pretty good. Not sure. I don't think we have enough incentives in our own deck to mill ourselves and exile that Vista at all. So do we want to mill them and go for that kind of win condition? It's unclear whether they're how many copies, if any, they're playing of Whir of Invention, but Ashiok makes that worse. I'm going to mill one more time at least. Get a little more info if nothing else. Okay, we see Engineered Explosives and Eliminate. EE on 3 would be a little scary, but it would hit their own Teferi, and it's unclear whether they can make that color of oh wow, another Urza. What a surprise. What a shock, and what a surprise. Fortunately, we can take care of it, but it's just so bad for us. They have another Welding Jar. Wow. Man, oh man. I'm telling you, their draws have been wild and crazy. So, ooh, there's a Choke. I mean, Teferi can eventually bounce the Choke and deal with it. I think we are supposed to just Pulse Urza, Edict the Construct. I think that's still better. We get max punished for this if they have a third Urza waiting in hand, but... Edicting, of course, making their Welding Jars pretty bad. Oh no, do they have another... Okay, Maze Mine Tome, huh? They're drawing a card in response. Interesting. Okay, still got an Edict here. I guess we're going to keep milling. We see another Maze Mine Tome Tezzeret. There's that Emery. Yeah, Maze Mine Tome is a beating, and we're actually weirdly punished for not Thoughtseizing it away just because we took the Urza, they immediately drew another one. Sword of the Meek. Sure. Another Liliana. Alright, well, it's Choke time. I guess we're just going to pitch our other Lily to this one. Seems fine. And Choke is not even that much of a setback for them anymore, but I still think it's well worth doing here. I'm going to kind of arbitrarily decide to leave Ashiok at 2 for now. Maybe mill again if their graveyard starts to fill up a little bit more, specifically with an artifact or two. I don't feel like our position's very good just because Maze Mine Tome is getting them a ton of value and they have already found really good stuff besides it. And a lot of their really scary draws are extraordinarily well protected by double Welding Jar. So it's a weird game. Things are a little bit weird right now, and I guess it is anyone's game, but... Okay, opponent shocking in a Watery Grave. Did they find another Urza? No, they found Walking Ballista. Okay. We found Nihil Spellbomb. Yeah. Alright, well, the hope here is that we could have trophied the Teferi. And I guess we still can, but then they get to trade their Walking Ballista for our Liliana. So do we want to just Edict them and let them ping? I mean, that'd be so bad, but the alternative is leaving Teferi around, who gets to bounce the Choke and draw a card. Maybe it is better to trade the Liliana. In that case, I'll be very glad that I did not mill with Ashiok last turn. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is our play here. Okay. So remember that Field of Ruin is shut off because it's an effect that they control, so their Field of Ruin is shut off by our Ashiok. So if they want to, like, field to fix their mana and maybe hit our Peatland, they would be in for a nasty surprise, I think, is how that works. Trophy of our own, huh? Seems okay. I'm going to begin with the Spellbomb here. I think our incentives to do so are high enough. Okay, like, drawing a land is not obviously that exciting, but it's really not that bad either with Peatland around. But we're just going to say go here. Hold up Trophy, hold up Peatland. OP's Mazemind Tome getting them so much value. Will it be enough to overcome our Choke? I don't know. Choke's putting in some work right now. OP's going to main phase a play and activate a Bauble. This better not be another Urza. It is a Walking Ballista for 2. Got it. Okay, let us crack Peatland. Fatal Push. Just gonna fire it off here. Well, what if we... I mean, it's less mana efficient, but what if we untap and get one last Ashiok activation? That's probably better. Okay, another swamp off the top's pretty awful. But whatever. Mill you again. Fatal Push. They're in a Welding Jar, sure. Okay, I don't think we're going to fire the Trophy here yet. The Walking Ballista is only a 2/2 for now, and unlike Push, Trophy can take care of Urza. On Revolted, it can take care of Foundry. There's Urza. Jeez, man. Jeez. All right, I'm going to Trophy in response here. Ooh. It's so ugly. It's so ugly. Oh, do they have... Oh, they're just going to make mana. Okay. Sure. So despite all of the, reasonable stuff we've been doing, they just are too value positive for us as things stand, to the point where we really need to just, keep drawing removal spells. We are on the ropes. Actually, dead on board. No longer dead because we've drawn Cling to Dust. So, clinging their Urza allows us to stay alive next turn, but that's just playing not to lose. I think we should cling Welding Jar and try to draw a kill spell or, a blocker or something. Instead, we draw Blooming Marsh and we are dead. Okay, well... I wonder if Lurrus and a newer school rock build would have really helped us there. I don't know, they had Walking Ballistas at really good times. Walking Ballista can answer Lurrus pretty efficiently. I'm not sure. I think their top decks were just really good. The game 1 sucked, and game 2 was closer, but still a really tough progression for, I think, any rock build to handle. On the play for round 2, with just like the thing that's always in our opening hand, I guess. It's just all one-landers with one land being swamped this league. Well, I gotta send that back, and we're against a Yorion deck, so it's hard to imagine an archetype punishing us more for playing old school rock, but sure, we'll keep. We bottom either an ooze, one of the two oozes. I think the first ooze is probably better than Tracker here, but maybe the second ooze is worse than Tracker, or we could just bottom Tracker. I think I'm going to make the more optimistic play of keeping the Tracker in hand, bottom one of these oozes. If our stuff is resolving and sticking, we can, filter lands to the top with Grim Flayer, potentially. Okay, so remember we're against Yorion. They've got a 2-lander with Ether Vial. My first instinct is to take it, but they have a lot of cantrips that are also good Restoration Angel targets at the 2-drop slot. So there's really no good take here, in all honesty. I think I am still going to take the Ether Vial because it looks like a hand that can just completely style on us if we let them virtually double spell every turn. So we're just going to have to try to batter through their blockers the old-fashioned way and all of their 2-for-1s and everything like that. So, again, this is the type of... Ooh, Bob. Do we like Bob better than Flayer? Probably. Okay, so my inclination is to get Forest here, assuming we're going to draw a third land with Bob, but we could get punished for not fetching and shocking a tomb, because, the draw of a Liliana next turn would be awesome, and, Bob could yield a Forest or a Field of Ruin alongside that. So I think, even though our life total really might matter, I'm going to go Fetch Shock Dark Confidant. Yeah, like I was saying, it's hard to imagine an archetype that's going to punish us more for being on old school rock, even being on rock in general, than a Yorion deck. Who plays Yorion anymore? What the heck? I didn't think this saw much play. But this blink value Yorion deck seems like a nightmare, but let's hope we can get through it. OP's going to have an Ether Vial. Got it. Oh, no third land off of Bob and a painful hit. And we cannot afford to attack, so... I think... Yeah, I think we're in big trouble because we bricked on that third land, and because we took 3. I'm going to play Goyf. A big part of me wants to play Scooze, though, because in theory, Scooze is going to allow us to, have really efficient turns and also to stay alive, but we need to, force chump blocks maybe with Goyf, or present a really good blocker, and actually draw the kill spells or draw the third land for Liliana Edict before Scooze becomes relevant. So I think with all that in mind, it is correct to play Goyf over Scooze there, but Scooze will probably be key to us winning if indeed we do win. Bob flips painfully again, but our draw step yielded the third land. So that is something. I'm just going to play the Lily here, an Edict, and then at this point I think we're just in pure race mode. We have to attack with both, so the opponent can trade nicely here if they're so inclined with Clawtol. They can also just let the attack resolve and kill Liliana on the crackback. It's really the turn. The decision is their oyster, but we've stumbled too much with the mulligan, with the nature of the opponent's deck, and with missing the land and with taking pain from Bob, that we just have to do this, right? And, to be fair, the pressure that we're exerting is pretty good. Yeah, opponent of Preston attacking the Liliana. That's pretty good for us. overall. OP with the 4th land, though. Yeah, dang, the curve out. So now Restoration Angel's online, now Death Touch is online, now it's going to get blinked. Like, again, is there a worse deck to face? I really don't know. I really don't know. Okay. Come on, Bob. Another painful hit and another missed land drop. Alright, I don't know. I guess we just trophy and keep playing, keep racing, but gotta imagine that we pretty much have lost this one. Because opponent, we know at least has the Eladamri's Call in hand. You know, despite Yorion itself is a massive problem for us. So leaving Yorion aside, this progression they showed us was really good, but beatable if our deck had complied a little bit more. Okay, so no Path to Exile. When they got Plains, I was halfway expecting that. OP Viling and a Birds. Is this a main phase Eladamri's Call? Okay, note that opponent kept a 2-lander, but they haven't missed a land drop yet. And we've also helped them along the way with good old Trophy. OP dumping out the main deck Core Firewalker, main phase out of the Ether Vial. Followed by... Followed by my client lagging. Followed by Avalanche Riders. Okay. Okay, then. Oh, no. Oh, no. Soulherder. Jeez. What a nut draw. Okay. Man. And Bobby will flip painfully and miss a land yet again. Alright, is it possible to have worse luck there? Technically, yes, but I believe we're probably down in like the single digits of variance on a scale of 1 to 100 there. Okay, should get better post side. Every black sideboard card is good. Golgari Charm seems good too. EE seems good too. We've got a lot of ways to kill their small creatures. I think that's all we want to do. I'm sure they're going to play some things that Nihil Spellbomb could be good against, maybe even some things that Ashiok could be good against, but I think killing everything that moves is the plan, and we don't really need to mess with anything else until we absolutely know for sure that that's what we should be doing. To that end, our main deck is once again really good. It might be correct to move away from Tarmogoyf and lean fully into Disruption and Advantage. I think I'm going to do that. They have too many ways to trade up with Tarmogoyf. I want all of my permanents to be able to get value, and they all can besides Goyf. Goyf is just the big beater, but against the Death Touch cantripping Flash Flying deck, against the probably Path to Exile deck, I think moving away from Goyf is good. Also makes stuff like Damnation maybe a little bit more potentially lopsided. We have to make 4 more cuts. I think I want to leave in all Bobs on the play. I'm going to cut an Inquisition. I'm going to cut 1 Cling. And then we need to make 2 cuts. I think trimming a Lily's fine. We need to make 1 cut. Yeah, you could go down to 4 discard spells. We could trim a land. We could maybe even go down to like 2 Liliana the Veil. We could play without this Cling. Maybe we play without this Cling. Lean it a little more into the lilies on the play. Still have 3 Skoos to disrupt any graveyard shenanigans they might have. You know, you imagine stuff like Kitchen Finks, Renegade Rallier, cards like that are not unreasonable at all. A 5-lander. So it's 1-landers and it's 5-landers, huh? I'm thinking about keeping just because it's Liliana. And the other card is pretty good in the form of Brutality. And we have a Peatland. And like mulling against the Yorion deck seems like a death sentence for us already being pretty disadvantaged. Alright, keeping, hoping to get lucky. Hoping to see an opponent mulligan as well here. Nope. Okay. Okay, looks like opponent's going to play a good old Mana Dork. Could be Ether Vial, but I'm feeling the Dork. Indeed it is. Okay, that's good for us. Something to kill with our kill spell. The only way I'm escalating, I think, is if we draw yet another land off the top, and please let's not do that. We did, obviously. Okay. Okay, so we're going to escalate. I guess we're going to check the hand for Path and Elet Domri's Call. Path specifically is something that they're likely to pitch in the face of a Lily ticking up, but that's still got to be better than the 2 life, right? So I'm going to play Forest, pitch Swamp, I guess. We get Court of Calling. Yeah, I'll take that. Okay. Brutality really showing up big there. Opponent's hand is still insane with everything, with 3 lands and 3 creatures, and every creature is an X for 1. Coiling Oracle is the only one that was potentially not an X for 1, but it shows up with the right hit there. So Liliana looking really underwhelming against that hand, but I am still going to Edict just to start chewing through the opponent's stuff here. And, you know, or we could tick up, actually, but nah, I'm going to Edict. It's going to kind of slow them down the most, right? And the draw of Tracker, admittedly, is pretty nice. This could realistically be a way to keep up with them on value. And then from there, we'll see if it's good enough, right? But definitely needed some kind of a draw like Tracker for value, or like some way to start hosing all of these X for 1s like Plague Engineer, Liliana the Last Hope, cards like this. So let's just start looking. Snake Elf Druid is one type, Bird is another, Human Shaman, Dryad Knight. Yeah, they're pretty diversified with that. They buy back Court of Calling, good to know. And we just can't draw much besides lands, sadly. Okay, at least Forest is a freer pitch than Catacombs or Peatland. That's the only thing we can say, really, in its favor. But now it is Tireless Tracker and Verdant Catacombs time. It's been a while since I played Tracker in good old Rock. Hopefully she can run away with the game for us. I'm just going to let Liliana go, sadly. Not gonna trade Tracker away. If the opponent has removal after all this, we'll just be devastated. But hey, these are, you know, calculated risks I guess we have to take. Tracker certainly a higher value permanent on average than Liliana against this deck under these circumstances. So opponent's floor of the turn, I guess, is land drop, Yorion, blink, Ephemerate. Man, I really hate that card. I really hate that card. That's just another reason why, like, the recursive value type stuff is so important for us, or like the static hate like Plague Engineer, because it's a fool's errand against all these X for ones with stuff like Ephemerate to try to win with spot removal alone. Okay, they kill our clue. That the opposing deck is the epitome of what do we even do against combo? What do you even do except destroy BG Rock? Okay, Fatal Push. It's fine, but it's a little underwhelming right now. So we'll make that land drop. I think we're going to crack a clue. Probably just push something main phase than attack. In some ways it's better to hold it up, but in other ways it's better to just use the Revolt while we can. Okay, the draw of Thoughtseize to get that chord, that's live. They have a Quattle in hand too, huh? Probably still supposed to take the chord. Okay, we're still pretty behind. Let's attack, see if they get greedy, go for the double block. Then push is gonna get their whole board clear. And if opponent says no blocks, then maybe we just crack the clue for the best racing potential. They are gonna double block. Alright, I think that's really good for us. Nevertheless, the opponent is the X for 1 dot deck, so I think we're still behind with Yorion waiting in the wings and Quattle in hand, but I think things are going about as well for us as they could be under the circumstances. Okay, yeah, they get to flash in Quattle to get to use this Ephemerate. Oh, God. What is... oh, man. This deck. Yep, we're still very behind. Opponent rips Huntmaster of the Fells. Wow. Okay, I don't know what we need to even draw now. Fatal Push is admittedly is pretty good. Yeah, our draws have been good too. Treetop Village. Nice to make another clue. Gotta push the Huntmaster. Sadly, we cannot attack, and again, sadly, we have the kind of guillotine of Yorion hanging over our head, but Tracker is doing a lot of work for us here. Wall of Blossoms. Yep, why not? When you have an 80-card deck that is only playing to draw as many cards as you can, seems good to me. Eternal Witness. Guys. Do you remember what I said at the beginning? How it's like there is almost nothing that could punish us harder for playing Rock in general and old school Rock in particular. Do you see why? We need to splash blue for Narset to stop all of this card draw. It's just... It is just so rough for us, man. They're going to keep buying back that Court of Calling until we fail to deal with it one of these times. Okay, opponent doesn't attack. Crack a clue. It's Tracker against the world. And Tracker is putting up a great fight, and we draw yet another Fatal Push. And yet another land, so the curve out is real. Let's go field, immediately crack a clue. We're going to push Quattle this turn. Okay, Liliana. Let's attack with Tracker before we decide what to do with Liliana. We're probably supposed to just keep kind of chewing through the board, but let's see what type of block they want to make here. Okay, chumping with the wolf. I think that's good for us because we then just get to edict yet another blinkable thing and make their chord clunkier. Despite everything going really well for us as far as our own top decks go, I repeat that we are still pretty far behind. But hey, I'm proud of our deck's performance under the circumstances. The opponent's deck is just preposterously good against ours, and their curve outs have been preposterously good even within that context. So our deck is really holding its own when it has no right to. Definitely a point in favor of Tracker and of old school Rock. You can see how the high land count is being really well leveraged here by our Tracker. I'm sure it's not going to be good enough, but it is definitely helping a lot. And, you know, it's possible we should have a higher density of graveyard hate in the face of this Witness Ephemerate loop. You know, they're an 80 card deck and they're presenting a lot of other things for us to care about, so like I said, we do still have the Scoozes and maybe we should have more. Well, P's gonna go get a forest, huh? Or a Misty Rainforest, rather, and then... Okay, so... Still 3 cards in the hand. One of them's Court of Calling. One of them's a Restoration Angel. To buy back the Quattle. And just main phasing it all, huh? Damnation. Alright, well, we probably are supposed to field to make a clue and then cast that. And then take up with Lily. Seems okay. So if we field to make a clue, we're not like doing anything else like Treetop this turn, but I believe that's still correct. Let's take them off of this red land. All right, Tracker. Great job, Tracker. Yeah, I think Damnation is necessary here. They've got... Oh, they even have a mountain to get? I guess it's an 80 land deck. Yeah, they've got the Ephemerate coming back. We've got to do this. I guess technically I should have attacked first to see if they just decide for some reason not to chump. But their sequencing thus far has led me to believe that they would indeed have taken some kind of block there. They're going to chord in response. This card is so crazy in these decks. And, like, it's not technically busted because these decks, again, they genuinely do suffer from the fact that they can't really beat linear decks most of the time. But when they're against the matchups they want to see like this one, it's just really oppressive. I had like my suspicions about Ephemerate when it was spoiled in Modern Horizons. I was like, is this card really what we want to be printing? It seems really busted, but again, that's specifically from the BGX perspective where it just kind of houses us. Okay, OP. Try again. Maybe they didn't have triple green, or maybe they have decided on a different target for Chord. Yeah, it's like against decks like this, it barely matters how well you disrupt. I guess our best hope is like them stumbling a bit and us landing a Plague Engineer. Even then, as we saw, the types are pretty diverse. It's not a Panacea, it's not like an I win button that they can't win through unless they can answer it. But it is definitely going to shut off a lot of their survivability. Okay, so we draw Dark Confidant. Pretty good. We don't know anything in their hand unless I'm mistaken. My instinct was to play Bob Tick Up. You know, I'm actually probably supposed to just Edict instead. I think I'm going to. If we are planning to Edict, maybe we should draw a card first, just to see what we're gonna do. But if we draw the card, we're definitely not probably taking up anyway. Let's just draw. We'll draw the card. Blooming Marsh, not a good one. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna Edict you. Liliana did some decent work for us, I guess. Am I supposed to attack with Bob or draw a card off Peatland? Or, excuse me, attack with Treetop or draw a card off Peatland? Probably draw the card, because they could have yet another Quattle to flash in. And we can find yet another land off the top. We cannot afford to flood in this matchup, I'll tell you that much. That much is clear to me. If anything's clear, it is that. Opponent with Thragtusk, why not? Just pile it on. Just pile it on, OP. And an Ether Vial, sure. Hey, those are still in post side, eh? Good to know, I guess. Alright, Bob. Collective Brutality, Field of Ruin, 2 cards that are just totally bad. Totally bad here. Against Thrag Daddy. Okay, let's get the field down and let's just say go, trying to find a better window for Brutality. Trying to hope Bob draws us into the most improbable comeback of all time. We can fire up Treetop and, like, threaten a trade with Thragtusk. I think that trade's okay. Like, taking a hit for 5 seems kind of bad. That'll put us to 8. And we have a Dark Confidant that we need to stick to win the game, so we cannot afford to have him lose us the game. But opponent just, like, always has a 6 or 7, 5, 6, 7 drop to play if they're not, like, triple spelling, so I guess it doesn't matter much. Okay, 8. Chord for 5. Yeah, chord for 5. You do that. And we'll die. We'll die to Kiki Cheeky, I guess. Sure. No. I am not auto-yielding. Okay. Well, they're not attacking with this one that we'd want to block anyway, so we do just have to take the hit. And hey, Kiki will die to Brutality, so, while that is good for the opponent in so many ways, it's not, unbeatably good. We still need a miracle, even more than we did before, right? But Confidant is going to flip painfully with the trophy, and we have another Bob. Really, really, really weak stuff. But we can freely escalate, pitching that land away, I guess, to drain and to kill the Kiki. So let's begin there. But yeah, I mean, the Thrag Tusks on top of everything else at this stage of the game is just like, yep, you got us, but we're sticking it out. I'm sticking it out for you, for your entertainment at home, so you can say, wow, look how badly Grim Flayer is getting wrecked. I hope you enjoy this. What is this, a Veil of Summer is their last card? That would just kind of be funny at this point. Okay, they decide to hold it, if that's what they have. I'm going to play another Bob. So, come at me. Come at me, bro. Yeah, one of the only other things we could have done is, hold the Damnation for a turn, maybe. See if they committed further into the board. Giver of Runes. This deck's a little hard to predict, huh? Okay, I'm going to trade Treetop instead of trading, Double Bob for this Beast token, because I just have to hope to get as lucky as humanly possible to win, so why not go all in on the luck plan by leaving both Bobs alive? That's basically my thinking here. Do we want to be mana efficient and trophy the something? Probably, I guess, the Thrag Tusk. Sure. Again, we're hoping to get lucky here, so let's play for the max upside, for them having not much. Okay, Ephemerate. Okay, I can see do the Ephemerate. You got us. You got us. Don't want to see that deck ever again. Yeah, not a very fun one, but again, like I say, our deck performed well. That is like a 2080 matchup for us, and our deck really hung in there, so feels bad to have drawn it, but our performance was pretty okay. And it is round 3. We haven't won a game yet. And on the play, I think I'm going to keep this hand on the strength of Decay and the inevitability of Tracker. But literally, we've been given a 1-lander or a 5-lander in every opener so far, except maybe game 2. No, we kept it's been a 1-lander or a 5-lander every single time. So at least there's no Yorion on the opposing side here. Spire Bluff Canal into Swifty, so we're against Blue-Red Prowess. We're going to wait to crack flats until after damage in case, that stops them from mutagenic growthing. Okay. Oh, we draw land number 6 off the top. Yep. Guys, there's just nothing we can do about some of this stuff. We could have mulliganed this hand, but I feel with Old School Rock without Luris as the advantage, we kind of need to keep all the 7s we can even remotely justify. Okay, so OP with a Monomorphose. Looks like a really good start for them. Yep, double Monomorphose. The good news, of course, is that we are not letting them get the free damage off of this with our Decay at the ready. And there's also no Stormwing entity, so that's very good. And they play Soulscar Mage, which is scary with their final red mana, but Decay the Swifty here. I guess we could have waited there for in case they went for mutagenic growth, but whatever. They didn't have it. And guys, another land. Oh my god, another freaking land. You know what? It might be correct to field them off of blue here. I was just going to say get the Treetop Village down. Might be correct to field them off of blue. They've already used 2 Monomorphos, but you know, they have at the same time already used an Opt. I feel like we're just so far behind. I'm going to continue taking high upside lines. We'll get a swamp so we can bluff Fatal Push here, maybe prevent them from the all-in shove they might otherwise be inclined toward. And hopefully we just get lucky, like they just get like a Stormwing locked in hand or something. And so neither happens. They have a Steam Vents anyway, and they have a Swifty anyway. Hey, at least we're against a cool deck, like a deck that can beat decks that aren't us. So even if we lose, I won't be that upset here. Lava Dart. Looks like we're going to lose, though. We're against some really scary curve outs from our opponents this time out. Double Lava Dart. Wow. Yep. It's pretty good when we're out of removal and when we don't have blockers. Are they really going to shove all... Oh my god, now they go mutagenic growth? They're shoving like this into the swamp. Okay. Now they're calculating whether they have lethal if they go all in, which they would, but it's very risky, so I understand why they don't. Nevertheless, that was just as bad as you could possibly imagine for the turn 3, and we have drawn 3 straight lands off the top, so we are basically dead. I mean, they're just going to Lava Dart the tracker and then go for lethal, right? Even if they don't have anything else, so maybe we should just scoop to conceal info. Bedlam Reveler. We have not had a chance. We have not had a chance so far. Let's hope we turn it around right here, right now. At least that was a quick one, right? Brutality. EE. Possibly Spellbombs. As you saw, they do still play a Reveler. They're most important against mono red and red black prowess, but they could still be good here. Damnation. Yeah, I guess Damnation's likely enough to come in. I'm probably going to play without Plague Engineer. But let's begin by getting EE and the Brutalities in, seeing what we don't like. Gonna go down probably to 1 Thoughtseize. Still no Bobs against the Lava Dart deck. They're probably a little more justifiable against the Blue Splash, but still no Bobs. And that puts us at 59. Let's definitely play at least 1 Spellbomb. Liliana the Last Hope seems pretty cuttable here for the second Spellbomb, and then I'm pretty happy to shave a Tracker in favor of this Damnation. Alright, I think our configuration's pretty darn good here. Let's see if we can get a win, guys. Old school rock, really on the receiving end of some bad beats. This is it, though. This is our hand. This is our good hand. It's still not like a top-tier hand because it has no threat whatsoever, but it's about as good as you're going to see without a threat. It's doing every single thing we want it to do. And OP. Sorry, I just muted and unmuted myself. I don't know what came through. I was saying OP not of the keyboard, we assume, but then we see a Sign of Life. They take a mulligan, so we're looking pretty favored here. But on the play, post side was always going to be the easiest of the three anyway. So they have Bolt, Slash, and Opt. I'm not going to take Swifty because we have removal aplenty. I suppose I'm cool taking either Bolt or Opt. Probably just going to take Bolt here. And then we're hoping to kind of draw a bad card, just so we can justify a pretty good escalated brutality. Hissing Quagmire, does that count as a bad card? Or, fourth land in general, I guess the better question is, does that allow us to pitch something? I think it does, and I think we can just actually pitch Overgrown Tomb easily enough. They've drawn a Gut Shot. Well, if they weren't F6ing, they could have actually saved the Swifty from this. But it's a pretty weak card, so I'm actually going to take Opt. I think we can beat a Shock and a Wild Slash pretty comfortably, and I'd rather not have them dig toward Stormwing Entity, Bedlam Reveler, stuff like that. OP just ripped Monomorphos. They're making double red. That seems really weird. Presumably Stormwing Entity is in their deck. But they found Light Up the Stage. There's Sprite Dragon. Okay, they're doing a lot of good stuff there. We've drawn Maelstrom Pulse. Sure. Seems okay. But this is going to be a push your dragon turn. That's a really good light up for them, though. They get a fast land off of the top deck and onto the field at a time where it can enter untapped. Would have been a really bad draw for them, and instead they get it off light up. OP with the Slash. We know there's a Scalding Tarn in their hand, so now's our time to push. Another land. Okay. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Bedlam Reveler is still the scariest possible top deck, but I guess we might as well start working on the spells anyway. Even though this Cling doesn't help us do so right now. We've drawn Scavenging Ooze. That's really nice. So the big question is, do we eat another spell? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we eat another spell, we still don't take them off Rev because they have the land in hand, so that means we definitely play the Skoos and grow around Wild Slash size and, Lava Dart size and all that stuff. Alright, nice find. We gotta fade them finding a kill spell for Ooze or a Rev off the top one time. They find Light Up the Stage, which is really good as far as top decks go. Oh, did I mistrack the hand? So they had Fiery Islet in hand. But it gives us a window. OP about to Blood Moon or Stormwing Entity us, depending on what they draw, I guess. We don't care that much, I guess, about either of them. I'll get Basic Forest while I can. There's actually only one creature to eat. So let's do that. And then we can Cling. We can even attack with Quagmire is not bad. Or we can pass, holding up Cling, holding up a bunch of Ooze activations. This is intriguing. This does technically present lethal. They have ways around that, of course, and at worst, they just like are going to play Blood Moon and shut off our creature land attacking for lethal, so that was not the most strictly necessary play we've ever made. What did opponent draw here? Did they really draw a Rev? Oh no, they're just going to Blood Moon with blue floating. Okay, I think they just took 1 damage for no reason. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so did they think they could play the entity off of Blood Moon? Probably. They probably thought it was like a non-creature. Well, it's good for us, right? And Tarmogoyf, speaking of good for us, just make sure there's really nothing to eat. Land, creature... No, I mean, not creature. Land, instant, sorcery is what's around. Got it. We can pulse the Blood Moon, but we don't need to. Alright. Hey, we gotta win. This is the type of matchup where I think we would be better with a Lurrus build, but we can still definitely get there. I think we sideboarded correctly for being on the play. On the draw, does anything change? Not really that I can see. There's nothing in the sideboard that's especially appealing. Run it back. Run it back, run it back. Alright, we open on our one of Thoughtseize, which is of course kind of awkward, but it's a double brutality hand. It's got all the interaction. Shock land plus field is an awkward combination of lands, so we're taking an inordinate amount of damage from our own stuff, but brutality we hope can really help make up for it. And they don't have a turn 1 play, which is awesome. And we draw a Goyf, which is awesome. So at this point, like, Blood Moon is the thing that scares me the most. I don't think it's that good against us overall, but seems okay in this spot. That's a scary hand. If we take Gut Shot, let me put it this way, if we don't take Gut Shot, they can either go Gut Shot Light Up or Gut Shot Entity, whichever one we don't take. I think we're probably, though, supposed to take Entity, because then they can just go Wild Slash into Light Up is still almost as good, and then the Entity's still in hand. So I'm just going to get rid of the threat. Allow them to have their nice Light Up the Stage turn 2, and hope that we can recover from it. They pay the for the Gut Shot with their Steam Vents, though. Really expected them to just do that for free in case they found a creature, like especially Soulscar Mage here, but they are not punished for it. So Lava Dart, Mutagenic Growth. Fiery Islet, Wild Slash, 1 unknown in the opponent's hand, and we've drawn Goyf. I think getting the Goyf down has got to be correct here. We can cast all of these black spells even through a Blood Moon. Goyf is just awesome in this spot. We've still got all this great stuff in hand. Ooh, OP with a Soulscar Mage. And then they're just gonna spend some spells on the Goyf, huh? Okay, well, we draw another one. Pretty cool. So, I guess we're gonna begin... I'm just gonna main phase a push here. See how frisky they want to get with Wild Slashes and Lava Darts in response, and then decide what to do. But we're probably just almost certainly going to slam another Goyf at this rate. Yeah. Their hand is Fiery Islet. Okay, our position is good, but strangely enough, brutalities are not that great against a lot of the stuff that can really get them back into the game. They Lava Dart to begin, so they clearly drew either this or it is Stormwing. I was going to say either Light Up the Stage or Storming Entity, but they do draw the Stormwing. Thankfully, we have a trophy. Spellbomb it's a play we can make. Yeah, I think the play is just trophy and race. This makes their Fiery Islet a lot better, but whatever. Okay, let's attack, see if they do anything before anything. They don't. Okay, so now that they're cracking this, they're going to draw a card for turn. We got to wonder about Reveler. They're going to have 3 lands and then 1, 2, only 3 spells in the graveyard. So there's no need to crack Spellbomb just yet. We obviously don't want to, for a couple different reasons. We want the cantrip. We also don't want to shrink our Goyfs even further. That would actually kill this Goyf, would it? Well, it would shrink them either way. It'd be bad either way, so we're not going to do it. Okay, OP with 2 cards in hand. Our draw of Damnation, not the best. Not the best at all in this spot. OP's going to bolt the big Goyf. Yep. Then they're going to Lava Dart the big Goyf. Maybe I didn't think about that long enough, because what if we could field to put a land in our own graveyard and then we can Spellbomb the opponent. I mean, whatever. I think this is still fine. But is that a play we want to make now? We field the opponent, we get another basic swamp, which kind of sucks compared to getting a basic forest, but then it allows us to Spellbomb, looking for other stuff, totally clearing out their graveyard, leaving them with no resources of any kind. I think I'm going to... Yeah, now our graveyard is nice and juicy. Okay, rewarded for the play by finding a land. We've also grown the Goyf a bit. I'm going to leave this uncracked, I guess. Okay, we've just got a handful of, like, really reasonable cards. I think we're still just saying go. Another Goyf seems good. Another Goyf seems really good. Allows us to just keep being really judicious with our spells and put down another threat that they have to X for one themselves to handle. Alright, now we're going to go get basic forest. Blood Moon is in the deck. Okay, don't know what they can have that beats all of this. Monomorphose, you got it. Stormwing Entity. Alright, we'll cling that Monomorphose to draw. Another cling. Alright. At this point, I'll cling my own Field of Ruin to draw. Scooze, Lily of the Veil, we got it all. But Lily is just going to be the play here. Okay, that's the game. All right, Old School Rock, back on the board. You love to see it. Is the start of a beautiful comeback? I don't know, but that one felt pretty good. Okay, round 4 and our opening hands are getting better as the league goes on. You love to see that. And now the opponents are the ones mulling, and we are the ones keeping 7. You love to see that too. This is a great hand in a blind game one. It really is. If we were on the play, it would be even better. There would be almost nothing that we couldn't line up well against, like maybe Dredge with 2 enablers in hand would be the real only thing that could definitely beat what we've got going on. Opponent going is Spirits, I guess. Seachrome Coast into Mausoleum Wanderer. Very interesting. Well, Inquisition, and we'll see if they want to trade the Wanderer for it. They do. Okay. That's good enough. Our Inquisition became a Fatal Push, and I think that's a play that's probably going to work out for them because they couldn't counter our Decay anyway with this, right? But kind of 6-1, half dozen of the other type of situation. And they're playing a lot of X1s. Our Liliana the Last Hope is definitely definitely looking like a really reasonable card to have access to. So, one part of me wants to play wants to just say Swamp Go. And we're safe in the knowledge that we can hold up Abrupt Decay, we can decay a non-X1 that they play, and then untap and Last Hope to take up Kill the Spirit. That's going to be amazing. The big problem is if they just attack us, then say go, then our Decay can get hit by Spell Queller, but I think that's actually fine. Like, that's not the worst outcome imaginable. You know, Rattle Chains is another option. Maybe we should have just main phased the Decay. I am playing for a higher upside, and it might not really be correct to do so. Like, we might kind of be ahead already. You know what I mean? But, so in other words, if we're already kind of ahead, we should just take our X for 1 trades. I should also maybe have decayed this, because if they didn't do anything before combat, they probably weren't going to do anything at all, like on their main phases. So I might as well have given myself the chance to save 2 life. Alright, Decay resolves anyway. Fair enough. Okay, so we've got 1 too many lands in hand, but with Liliana around, that is okay. Now, I do kind of expect this one to get quelled, but I think that's not the worst. No, jeez, okay. Good enough for me. So we'll pitch Overgrown Tomb. And I don't know if they have any, like, if they didn't have Spell Queller or Rattle Chains, do they have anything else to flash in? There are some other cards, but they're certainly the ones we care a little bit less about relative to the blowouts that those two could have manifested, and they don't have anything to flash in. So now they're in big trouble. OP in some trouble. For sure. Fatal Push. Well, it just keeps coming. The wins just keep coming, so I think we should try to main phase the Last Hope, and then if they have Queller, we'll get to beat it pretty handily. Okay, Last Hope will resolve. Let's take Veil up, pitching our other Veil. Liliana Tribal is really good if you can get them underneath the permission against blue-white spirits, that is for sure. And even with a Fatal Push held up after all of this, what a great time to be alive. OP has flooded pretty hard after the Mulda 6. They've made 4 land drops, and they've also pitched 2 lands to Lily, and they concede the game. All right. That felt good. That felt pretty good. So, once again, all of these black cards. Hey, guys, we're getting really rewarded for playing, like, a heavy dose of removal, a mix of new school and old school stuff. It was good against Prowess. It was good against the Blink deck, but their draws were too insane for it to matter. And it's going to be really good here. I think we want all of these. Golgari Charm does seem really good against their deck. You know, I'll keep them all in the same column because it's possible we'll need to trim one or not, you know, like not play one. But let's begin with the idea of bringing them all in. Liliana, the Veil, can get trimmed. Cling to Dust can probably again get trimmed. Can cut a Thoughtseize. Sideboarding pattern looking pretty similar to some stuff we've already done. Tracker. I'm gonna rate Tracker low here. I think like as weird as it seems, I usually like leaving in all my Goyfs, and on the occasion that I do have to move away from them, I kind of like to cut all of them. In this matchup, I could see like trimming 2, but I could also see cutting a Bob on the draw. And maybe just shaving a Goyf. Is that too strange to do? I think that's actually pretty good. But we could do other things like cut another Thoughtseize, cut a Grim Flayer instead, go down to 2 Liliana the Veil. So I'm not sure exactly what's optimal. I think I kind of like just the cute little trim of a Goyf, though. Looks like a really good configuration to me. Let's run it and see how it does. Well, this is a quite fine opener. We're going to keep, and I'm probably supposed to push on site for fear of getting blown out by rattle chains and stuff like that. Wow, nice. Inquisition's a really good draw here. We'll use our only Marsh Flats to go get a basic swamp. We will Inquisition OP, and we will see exactly what they're working with. Oh, they kept a no blue land hand because they didn't want a mulligan against us. So Rattle Chains is actually their best card, but it's actually also the only uncastable card right now. Well, that's a really strange situation to be in. So Rattle Chains and Drogskull Captain are the cards that are tough for us to beat, though. I think we should take one of them. Like, I don't think our matchup's bad enough that we have to hope to permanently screw them off of blue. So I'm going to take the Captain. There's a real argument for Rattle Chains, though. And then there's also an argument for going for the Monoscrew plan, right? Hoping it's good enough. Ooh, if only we were on the play to just tee off on the Selfless Spirit with Lily the Last Hope, right? But we're not. So we are probably supposed to save our push for a less easily killed target and just deploy a threat. And I'm going to play Goyf because I expect that we're going to use all of our mana next turn one way or another. And Skoos can come down to kind of clean up the mess after it's all said and done. And, you know, getting the Goyf pathed is fine. Moorland Haunt. That's a card I almost talked about in the sideboard deck, because it is usually a one-of in these blue-white spirits lists. And it is something we do want to try to compete over. Opponent can now play the Cleric and have Path for the Goyf, but they still are locked out of blue, which is amazing for us. Oh, but they're just not going to hold up white? Okay. I don't know why. What am I missing there? I don't think I'm missing anything. Okay, so for fear of running out of basics, I think one time I'm going to fetch Shock here. Collective Brutality is a pretty good draw. I also think I'm going to... Who do we want to hit here? Hitting the Cleric gives them a chance to misplay, right? Because they could sack the Selfless Spirit in a response. They probably won't do that, though. I mean, no matter how you slice it, we're getting to take up with a 3-mana Planeswalker and kill a 2-drop threat, which is awesome, so... I think I'm just going to kill Selfless Spirit here. If they want to sack the Cleric to make our Tarmogoyf worse, that plays right into our hands. This does let them sack in a response, though, to get a free block here this turn. So, you know, killing Cleric was good, too. We might as well not attack now. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, so if we were going to make that play with Last Hope, which I think is correct, maybe we were just supposed to attack first. So, sequencing error kind of realized after the fact, but I don't think their life total really matters because they've got Path for our Goyf as soon as they need to use it. And then they've got another Selfless Spirit. Okay. This time they will hold up Path to Exile wisely. Wisely they will hold up the Path. Last Hope just gonna mow them down. They're going to path their own Selfless Spirit instead of our Tarmogoyf? Really? Oh, man. I mean, yeah, I get it to turn on to get blue. But, oh boy, this is very, very interesting now. I didn't really expect them to do that, but it does make a degree of sense. They turn on Moorland Haunt that way as well. So I think we're supposed to use the Collective Brutality this turn before they get to untap with Rattle Chains. And probably also just get the Ooze down, right? So now I suppose they probably are going to sack this in response to exile our graveyard, because they're going to want to keep their own stuff around for Moorland Haunt. And indeed they do. But that actually works to our advantage, because then Brutality will hit the bin, starting to rebuild our graveyard, and then Ooze will have a lot of things to eat out of their yard. So... both of us able to play now to a large degree at instant speed, them with Rattle Chains and Moorland Haunt, us with Scavenging Ooze activations and Fatal Push. And we're overwhelmingly advantaged here because we have 2 high-impact threats. We're, like, ahead on cards, if you count the board state, pretty well ahead on cards. And we have Liliana the Last Hope still around on 3 loyalty, right? OP, they answer the Ooze, okay. So that's not ideal. but sure. Inquisition. Yeah, I'll force the rattle chains out of the hand and maybe hopefully get something else. Let's start there. I think they have 2 spells in hand. Are we supposed to push? Okay, they're just going to concede. Fair enough. That was an interesting spot, but we were overwhelmingly ahead. There wasn't really too much of a bad play to make. I was thinking, okay, what do we need our mana for? We've got Field to hit the Moorland Haunt, which is live. We've got Nurturing Peatland to crack, which is live. We had a lot of things to do, but the opponent doesn't make us make the decision. And hey, we're back on the upswing with Old School Rock against some more favorable matchups, some more reasonable matchups to be sure. Ooh, okay, we're back to the 1-landers, but this one I'm going to keep because we can get both colors and we've literally got 5 1-mana spells into a Tarmogoyf. So we're going to keep it. We're going to draw the second land right away, and we're just going to completely rip the opponent's hands to shreds. And we're going to double spell, and we're going to cast Goyf, and it's going to be great, right, guys? I certainly hope so. I think this is a very justifiable keep, though. I'm tired of mulling. And we're rewarded. We're against Ad Nauseam. Keeping all this action that's relevant is so good. Admittedly, both the Fatal Pushes are dead. That kind of sucks, actually. But, you know, their hand's awesome. I think we have to attack the mana. I usually say mana. That time I said mana. Some people are like, you pronounce mana incorrectly, and I'm like, okay, sure, you got me. So that was for all the people out there who correct my pronunciation of a word that is not used in orthodox speech. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to continue attacking their mana sources. And continue missing the land drop, but when we find the second one, it'll be good. The Simian Spirit Guide, not the greatest draw for them, is it? But they now that they've drawn a land, it actually is kind of good. Well, we just keep drawing discard spells. Such a strange game. At this point, I'm going to start attacking the combo. I'm not going to take the Simian Guides. Let us take Angel's Grace. Spoils is always a risky card for the opponent to use, especially with a couple Simian Guides already in hand. If they spoils one away looking for a combo piece, they could be left without the ability to combo off, potentially. I mean, maybe that's not true. It just really depends, but oh my goodness, we're missing the land for far too long. But again, we're casting a discard spell literal every turn. Pact of Negation. I'm going to take Spoils. Okay, if we just draw the second land on the 5th attempt, then, or at the 4th attempt, I guess, because we're on the play, we're actually going to be still in a pretty good position. But if we don't do that, anything can happen here. Come on, second land. Oh no, another Fatal Push. Okay, now this is getting ridiculous, but what else is new? This whole league has been mighty strange. The opponent can actually pact, really reasonably now and just pay for it by tapping their lands and exiling a Simian Guide. And they just keep making land drops. We could easily lose. But I think our keep is justifiable in the blind, and I think we're really, really happy we kept it here. If we lose, so be it. You know, many of our 6s would lose too. That is for sure, because we, drawing 4 discard spells and casting them in the first 4 turns is highly unusual, right? Second land? Are they going to hard cast a Simian Guide here? They're going to turn on our Fatal Pushes? Oh yeah, they are. They're going to try to race us. We're down to 13 from shocking and thought-seizing and fetching. All right. Our fatal pushes, admittedly, are dead until we find a way to get Revolt. Okay, 5 turns straight missing the land. You can't really legislate for that. You can't really accommodate that, right? What have they found now? Okay, they're just going on the beat plan. Look, we just draw the second land and it's still all good because these things can't attack into a Tarmogoyf. Oh my goodness. Let this league stand as a testament to just how much variance matters in this game. Liliana's a great card in the matchup, but we're so far away from using her that I'm actually going to pick her. Especially because we might unironically need fatal pushes to stay alive. Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, they keep just... Whoops, no. Turn off auto yields. I can push that one without Revolt, and I'm going to. Okay, yield until next end step. I accept the beat from the Simian Guide. And then I will push your Merfolk Wizard, your 1/3 threat. This is rather dumb. This is rather dumb. Come on, deck. Another uncastable. Okay. Calling all mathematicians, what are the odds of failing to draw a land in a 24-land deck over 7 turns, with 23 of the remaining 53 cards being lands? Okay, I think we were actually just dead. Yeah, I mean, we didn't draw anything anyway. We were actually just dead there even if we had, though. Because we would need a fetch land to turn on Fatal Push, and that puts us to 2. And they can pact one of our pushes and we die. They also can just pact a Tarmogoyf and we die. That was the stupidest way I could possibly imagine losing to Ad Nauseam. It's going to get harder for us post-side. Opponent says, okay, this was weird. Yeah, tell us about it. It's going to get worse for us post-side because they're going to have ley lines, and a lot of the time, like, ley line will make our hand really bad, where it would otherwise be really good, but you can't mulligan the good hands away. Nevertheless, we will play as though they're not going to have them. You know, we're not going to, like, not side in brutalities, for instance. Golgari Charm's good. Opponent very polite. Says, sorry dude, sheet happens. And yes, indeed it does. So brutalities are great. Golgari Charm is actually pretty nice. Hitting Leyline and... what's it called? I know this card. Phyrexian Unlife, that's it. I think we're supposed to play Engineered Explosives. It can hit Pentad Prisms and Lotus Blooms and maybe not much else. I'll put it to the side. I suspect that we're just like cutting 4 pushes. We're going to have plenty of other cuts to make. Yeah, like you could trim a Scooze easily. You could trim Lily the Last Hope. You could trim Clings to Dust. I think I'm going to trim Lily the Last Hope and just leave a bunch of subpar threats in here because they can still get us over the line. All right, well, you know, hey, this is a good matchup, so at least we can't complain about the matchup, but I think we are supposed to win like 90% of game 1s with that opening hand. We literally draw the second land and pretty much can't lose. This hand's great, though. We're going to keep it. The only thing I'm scared of is them keeping like 7 with a ley line, and there's no ley line, but they did keep 7. Thoughtseize you. Thoughtseize Goyf Lily. The classic BG. Oh my god, triple Veil of Summer. This is one of the strangest leagues that I can imagine. I guess we're going to take one of the Veils. I mean, the only other take is Simian Spirit Guide. I should have screenshotted that while it was up. You know, we don't technically have to, though, because we can just go Goyf into Lily Tick Up, and the Veils are going to be cantrips under those circumstances, not doing much else, but they can draw their things, we can draw their things, you know what I mean? For example, Collective Brutality. You know, that's something that definitely is going to get got by Veil, so... Opponent says the hand is amazing. Yeah, it's true. The hand is amazing, but our hand, fortunately, can line up well enough against it to win. We're going to put a lot of pressure on them with this Goyf. We're most likely going to pitch the backup Liliana, partially just because it grows the Goyf, but having drawn a land, you know, it could be okay to keep the... Alright, let's see if the Lily resolves. Sure she will. Yeah, I think I'm assuming they're not going to answer this Liliana, and if they do, maybe it would be with like a Pithing Needle style effect, so I'm going to pitch the other Lily to grow the Goyf and to give ourselves the most chance of like double spelling and stuff. Ooh, opponent pitches a Leyline of Sanctity, so the Goyf is huge. Now the Goyf is a 4-turn clock. I was thinking we just made it a 5-turn clock, but instead it is a 4-turn clock. And they're now cantripping with the Veil of Summer, so all is going to plan. And they're taking additional pain from the City of Brass. They found Lotus Bloom, so we still know their whole hand besides one card. We've drawn Kalitas. Kind of a strange draw. But we could just accept that Brutality is not going to be what we're doing this game. Pitch it. Play the Kalitas just for more of a clock. I don't think it probably changes the clock much, but you never know what they could have. Maybe it matters. I think that's the line here. I'm just main phasing it because it really doesn't matter much. But technically might be better to attack first, whatever. Kalitas is not exactly a threat to set the world on fire in this matchup. It's just literally a 3-4 for 4. But again, we have enough bad cards to side out otherwise that we just leave stuff like that in. Okay, so we beat the triple Veil of Summer hand because we Thoughtseized the first one in Liliana. The pressure of Liliana on the hand and the pressure of Goyf on the board forces them to cash in the other two for cantrips. Ooh, they go for an end-step spoils. This is a little scary. You know, it's the type of high-risk, high-reward play they probably need to make here, but it's also one that could be one of their only ways out of a situation like this. Well, that's a lot of cards that they reveal. So we win, and we maybe get a little bit more info, but just a quick scan yields nothing that we didn't know about. It's all main deck stuff plus another Leyline of Sanctity. Okay. OP says spin the wheel. Oops. Had to try. Smiley. Shout out to Borgila, or maybe Borgia, MTG10. Very friendly Ad Nauseam opponent. I respect Ad Nauseam greatly. I think it's a really cool deck. And I hope we beat them in the final round. We're playing for the Cashed League after a really rough start. I'm happy to be here playing for the Cashed League after how bad our start was. And I think we have every chance of beating Ad Nauseam in Game 3. I just wish we had managed to take that Game 1 and cleanly 2-0'd them, but on the draw, I don't think we want anything out of our sideboard. I mean, there's an argument that maybe, like, Nissa Vital Force is actually better than Kalitas as a threat, but just for the chance of getting stuck with her in hand and not hitting the 5th land drop, I'm probably just going to submit. Yeah, Lily of the Veil, so good here. Alright, opponent, please mull. Please mulligan. Oh, man. Our hand is fine. We're going to keep it. Yeah, they're mulling. We're definitely going to keep. We don't want to, like, mulligan aggressively toward discard only to get leylined. Like, this is a functional enough hand that would be better on the play. But they've got leyline, so that's rough. But again, like, our hand technically doesn't really care about leyline too much. Okay, so I'm going to play fetch land here because if they don't put anything in the graveyard, I'm actually just going to fetch a swamp and then cling my own fetch land to draw a card. And then it's bob into Liliana and hope that is good enough. If they have a perfect curve out, it won't be, because we don't have, like, a decay for stuff like this Pentad Prism. But we're going to try to cling in the hopes of finding one, right? So here we see the usefulness of Cling just as a 1-mana cantrip in a deck that does not otherwise tend to play them. We found Grim Flayer. Not very exciting just because we already have good 2-drops to play here, and I think Bob's better. I think I would rather try to, like, draw action than try to race them a little bit harder. So yeah, let's play a Dark Confidant. And we really have to hope, number 1, to start drawing, like, Pulse Decay Trophy type of cards. Or number 2, we have to hope that they get stuck without any more land drops and any other mana production. I guess number 3, they just don't have the combo pieces, you know, so don't get me wrong, we're really making them have it, but those are ways where we'll really start putting the squeeze on them if any of those 3 things go our way, right? They're going to bottom off of the Temple of Enlightenment, then they're going to play Thassa's Oracle, who's disturbingly good at blocking Dark Confidant. But fair enough, and then they're going to top with her Scry, interesting. Okay, well, let's see. Dark Confidant will yield Trophy and Scooze. Okay. Kind of bad things, but they're things, you know, Trophy's definitely a fine failsafe. I kind of want to just go Lily tick up, though. But an alternative is to just, like, do nothing and plan to, like, Trophy if they have the combo lined up. You know, like, if they have to go... Well, no, they're not going to have the mana to go... What's it called? Unlife into Ad Nauseam next turn. So we're probably just supposed to Liliana start pressuring their hand. And hope they don't have exactly the combo this turn. Because they did just top something with Oracle, right? That's pretty bad for us. I'm going to get rid of one of these Scoozes. And now we will be able to... Now we will be able to Trophy the Leyline and, you know, Edict with Liliana if that's the play. You know, stuff like this is live. Opponent gonna pressure the Lily. Two cards in hand. This is pretty intense. They know about our trophy, right? They're going to hardcast a Leyline. Wow. Yeah, they know about our trophy. Inquisition, a bad find, but a free pitch, I guess. Angel's Grace out of the hand. Okay, so they've got, like, no ability realistically to combo off right now. So now we need to just, like, probably get as much pressure down as we can. We have Delirium, so why don't we just play, like, Flayer Scooze? Scooze is kind of bad, but at least Scooze can block Oracle if they somehow deal with Flayer. And I don't want to get cheesed out by horrendous bad luck from my own Bobs. So, yeah, we're just going wide. And Grim Flayer is going to get a run out here at the end of the league. Pretty cool. So what opponent wants to do here is just draw, like, anything that they can play to the board. Like, they don't want to draw an Angel's Grace. They want something that they can dump out on the board. Make Liliana's tick up a lot worse. Of course, she cannot Edict into the Leyline. And now that there's 2 Leylines, we cannot even trophy 1. They go top, bottom, and they draw a land. So that's pretty good for the opponent. Okay, now we have 2 trophies. So we could actually trophy Edict. But I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to tick up. Lose the Thoughtseize. Attack with these 2 things. Okay, before damage, we will eat here. And then let's see what we can do with good old Grim Flayer. Well, there's 3 lands on the top. I think we're going to play Tireless Tracker this turn, so actually leaving a land on the top is fine. But we're certainly going to bottom 2 of them. I could have given that one more thought, but, like, whatever. This has got to be good enough. And it's hard to say that certain other things are exactly what we're trying to draw to. Do wonder what the opponent topped. They just topped a Temple of Deceit. Makes sense. Just continue making land drops. Continue playing around Liliana's +1. Continue filtering through the draws. They go bottom with it, though. So more good news for us. And I wonder if we're going to have lethal here. Okay, opponent, I guess, just scooping anyway. They say GG's. Because we have, of course, trophy, grow the tracker with clues, eat with the Scooze, all that stuff. Very polite opponent, once again. Big shout out to you. Borhila MTG. GG's well played. Bizarre way to lose game 1, but look at the comeback. The comeback king. The comeback kid. That was like the most... I don't even remember. I literally don't remember right now what round 1 was, because round 2... just drove everything else out of my mind that happened prior to that. Round 2 was like the worst, like most punishing mid-range experience you can have, almost literally right now, because at least like the Uro piles that and the big mana decks that also punish our strategy are like top tier. But when you run into the 80-card Yorion Soulherder deck, it's like, I'm questioning all of my life decisions right now to register old school rock and just to get deterministically crushed by like a relatively fringe deck. I shouldn't call it very fringe. It does a lot of really powerful things. It's just inconsistent and slow, against the linear decks. But we've already complained about that enough. So let's focus on the positives, my friends. The positives being that Old School Rock puts up a result. We consciously shed some of our best threats and decline to play them. We do not play with Lurrus. We do not play with Hexdrinker. We do not play with other less core but still impactful stuff like Questing Beast. We're just going old school, and we still put up a 3-2 through a really tough start. Admittedly, when we hit Izzet Prowess, like I said at the time, I think we're better off with Lurrus, but it's still a matchup we're happy enough to see. And then we hit Blue-White Spirits and Ad Nauseam to close out the league. That felt great. Those are two really good matchups for Rock, no matter what cards you are or not playing within reason. So, hey, guys, Old School Rock showing up big. And even in the match where we got crushed, we kept up with them more than we had any right to on the back of Tireless Tracker. Tireless Tracker was really good here. Needs to go on the thumbnail. Liliana, the Last Hope, we didn't see that much, but she was so oppressive against spirits that I'm tempted to anyway. But, what else was definitively old school here? Grim Flayer made a cool cameo at the end, but I don't think we used him enough to justify that. Ditto Kalitas. Cool to main deck Kalitas in the spirit of old school, and technically helped close out the game against Ad Nauseam game 2, round 5, although I guess maybe they killed themselves with the spoils either way. But so it really was, maybe it was like Tracker and the Lilianas were both really good, and then maybe we have to put a discard spell on the cover, because it was really good when it was good, and then there were funny situations where it was good, but we didn't draw a second land, so we just cast a bunch of discard, ripped their hand to shreds, and then lost. What a strange league. But we escape with a result. Hey, I'll take it. It wasn't that long ago that very few people were playing Rock anyway. And now the fact that we are seeing Rock with Lurrus start to really establish itself in the meta, start to really consistently chain results together, and we follow that up with like a decent result on Old School Rock that's not even playing Lurrus, I think we can say that Rock is in a better place than we've seen in a while. Let's just put it that way. So thank you, my friends, so much for watching. Thank you to SV Kovic for your generous support, for being the first ever Patreon supporter, for turning your earned donation league over to the Discord. Thank you to the Discord denizens for voting on this and for helping build the list, and also for your continued support and activity in the Discord. And speaking of Patreons, thank you once again to the trio of new and returning Inquisitors, Quinn Hart, Austin Johnson, and Knight Ev, or Knight EV. I still do not know. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the commentary. Hey, I let loose sometimes with my, I think some people fail to interpret tone. Like, I don't feel at any point in this league was I really just, like, raging and complaining. I was just offering color commentary about how silly some of the matchups were, right? So I hope you guys continue to enjoy that. Many of you have said you have found my rants to be cathartic. That's what I aim for. I don't mean to spread ill will or bad feels. I mean to offer accurate commentary on how matchups go, how matchups feel when you're playing a deck like this, and also to offer commiseration for those of you who know exactly how it feels to stare down the 5th Ephemerate off of the 7th Eternal Witness against a Yorion deck while you're trying to play the Rock. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoy the good and the bad on this channel. We have plenty of both. And this was a pretty fun league, all things considered. I really love that I'm playing more Rock again. I hope to continue finding reasons to do it, and basically that's going to be up to the donors, because the only thing I have time to do these days is pretty much donation leagues. So let's leave it there. Thank you again for watching. I guess it's worth letting us know what you think about the list, but frankly, I do think it's correct to play Lurrus and Bauble right now. But for those of you who maybe don't have access to those cards, it could be useful to discover an alternative way to sleeve up the rock. So let us know what you think about the list, and I'll see you for the next video. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful night, and I will talk to you soon.